the two bass thing, it did kind of make Ned stand out though, didn't it? When they first started to emerge, right?
It did, and you know what a happy accident. You know, there's so much luck involved, isn't there? But it was literally that much of an accident. I literally I didn't even invite one. Matt was going to play bass, and I forgot Matt was playing bass, and I invited another bass player.
Welcome. We are Neil,
Luke,
and Dave.
340-somethings reminiscing on the runners and riders of 90s guitar music.
we look at the bands who soundtracked our youth on both sides of the pond and interview some of our heroes from the bands that defined a generation.
You'll hear about the good, the bad, and the ugly of 90s guitar music.
This podcast is Stupid and Contagious. It's episode 100, the Stupid and Contagious podcast. I was going to do the similar.
No one told me to bring one.
Go on, party poppers ahoy. They are quite 90s, aren't they, party poppers?
Are they? People still have party poppers, surely.
Yeah.
They do.
Returnal.
I think they peaked in the 90s.
No.
I think there's better versions of them now.
They haven't peaked.
But yes, probably are better. What are those things called where you blow them and it unrolls? What are they called?
Yeah, that's what I was going to get. That's what I meant to get for this episode.
Right.
I forgot.
Yeah,
so I'm glad you had some party poppers on the high.
They're called them Curly Willies, aren't they?
Curly Willy.
Curly Willy.
I think so.
Yes, I know. Yes, listeners.
Yeah, we made it. 100. That's good, isn't it? 100
unbelievable
of these. We've done 100 of these bastards.
Yeah. I haven't yet. I've only done 99.
That's true. You're playing catch up.
So thanks very much for everyone that's listened in the past, continues to listen, and any future listeners. Welcome. But yeah, we did it. We got to 100. So that's it. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you all soon. That's
not the end of the episode. It's not.
No.
A special one.
So yeah, we've been trying to get this guest on since the inception of the podcast, really. But this week, we're speaking to Jonn Penney from Neds. It's a big one. We got him on. So that's coming up later on. Neds is a fitting one, I think. There's something about Neds that's just a big part of the fabric of the 90s scene, right?
You should give the full name, Neds Atomic Dustbin, for people that might not know.
Who's rustling?
No, I'm Luke. I'm not Russell. I'm rustling my party poppers. I'm going to drape them over my camera, but then you won't see me.
Just put them over your head.
Oh, right.
But it's been quite a big week for 90s music. General Oasis gigs this week.
Oh, yeah. What do we reckon?
Seen any of it? I think
some clips.
From what I've seen, I think they look really good. Sound really good.
Yeah, brilliant.
I like it.
Liam sounds great.
Yeah, I'm actually regretting not going now. But
I told you they'd be great.
Too late for that. But it's purely nostalgia, and it's obviously they're not doing any of the shit past sort of Be Here Now.
Well, I think my friend Tony put a post on the Facebook page pointing out very astutely that they've only got 1.5 good albums. Basically, they're playing everything from the first 2 albums, and
I'm glad.
What side their bread's buttered, right?
I hope Gem and Andy Bella were there, are standing there thinking, "Oh, the stuff we wrote's obviously really shit because we haven't included any of it." So that's what I hope.
Yeah. But I'm glad that they did it. They are playing to the crowd, right? And that's it. That's what people wanted.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
Yeah, and they come on to Fucking in the Bushes and all that stuff. You know, it's just classic old school Oasis, and I like it. And I like the way they got the stage set up. They're all sort of quite close. It's not too stage. Well, obviously they got all the big screens and stuff, but the actual stage itself, it's quite intimate. They're all sort of standing together. I like it. I think they've done it really well. So
sounded great.
But how many are left? It's not finished.
Well, there's gigs? No, they got loads.
Loads and loads all over the world.
You could still go, couldn't you?
Yeah, but you won't be able to get tickets now, I don't think.
Press.
I've tried that. I've gone down that route. It might work. It's a long shot, but if anyone's listening from the Oasis team, just get us a ticket. Go on.
Yeah.
What are you offering them in return?
Nothing.
Nothing. It's just pure begging.
We talk about them all the time on here. We've done our bit.
Not always in a complimentary way.
Not always,
maybe I should
but,
do that for the Tokyo gigs, man. I should have tried to press.
All right. So
jingle.
Luke will have one for Tokyo. I'll have one for Wembley. Dave, Wembley.
All right.
You've missed Cardiff.
Well, I don't live in Cardiff, do I?
No, but
I'll have Wembley.
all right. Me and Dave will have Wembley. Luke will have Tokyo. Please, if you're listening,
Cheers, lad.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think they're sounding good from what I've seen. But it is just so instant now. I was literally watching a live stream of the gig on TikTok as it was happening.
Yeah.
Which is mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, talking of live streams, there's that one of Kneecap, wasn't there? Just a random woman was live streaming it on TikTok, and she got 2 million views.
Was it 2 million views?
Yeah.
Wow. That's the same for this Oasis gig. Yeah, it was mad. She just did the whole gig. She just stood there and.
I didn't think of that. I was reading it, I was reading the live blog on the Guardian website. I didn't think about like TikTok or anything like that.
But there's no law against it. You can't. You're entitled to do that. You can't stop people doing it. So I did watch it sort of as it was happening. But yeah, I would quite like to go now. But, and then we had it's not a Britpop, but it kind of 90s-ish. We had the old Ozzy Osbourne thing on this weekend as well, didn't we? Did anyone watch any of that?
I saw a few clips. It didn't play for very long, right? I mean, but they couldn't,
It got wheeled down a throne, and it was all a bit mad, really. I think people enjoyed it.
Ozzy,
I think you've got good response.
Fine.
It's kind of like someone been at their own sort of tribute gig, isn't it?
Sure. Oh, but not many bands can legitimately, claim to have invented a whole genre and a whole movement.
No.
Black Sabbath did, so they can do whatever the fuck they want, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was good that they did it in Birmingham, and
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some huge acts on Metallica and
Pantera. Yeah, loads.
Who was it that got booed because he's been signing bombs, hasn't he?
Oh, who's that? Is that
Yeah, the guy
not the guy out of Disturbed, is it?
Yeah, it is the guy out of Disturbed. He's been signing bombs that have been dropped on Gaza, and everyone booed him, rightly so.
Oh, brilliant! Didn't know that.
So that's been going on.
That's good.
Oh, Dave, you've been doing some musical stuff as well, haven't you?
Wait, about your holiday? How was your holiday first?
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah,
I forgot. I blocked it out.
That's all right. No, it's very nice, thank you. Went to Tossa in Spain. It was funny. We saw someone had like a flashy car with a personalised number plate, and it just said Tossa on it. I don't think they realised how it would look to us.
No, it's probably it hasn't got the same meaning over there. I doubt that.
No.
No.
Did you do karaoke
Sangria?
And conga and shit like that? Yeah, was it like a proper?
Did you wear like a British Bulldog t-shirt?
Yeah, hanky on your head.
No, Tossa is actually very nice.
Oh, I bet it is.
Despite the name.
Keep it. I see you and the good lady wife. You're just sitting there, quaffing sangria, were you? Eating tapas.
Pretty much. Yeah.
It's all right, isn't it?
Yeah.
So then you got back and you're off to the festival, aren't you?
Yeah, there's a festival that's so close to us that you can hear it. Love Supreme. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
You both hate jazz, don't you?
Yeah. I like a bit of jazz.
I do. No, Luke don't mind it. He likes anything that's a bit, It's
Well,
probably
like
like Nigerian jazz or something. Free jazz?
Yeah, well, stop talking about that.
So do I.
Free jazz I like. I love Supreme. I love that record. I love Supreme. John Coltrane album. I love Supreme. It's incredible. Yeah.
But what's free jazz, though?
It's like noisy experimental jazz.
Of course it is. Obviously.
But I'll tell you what, I wasn't really...
Oh, man, can I put the Ornette Coleman track, Free Jazz, on the playlist now? Bless her. It's insane. It's great.
Why are you asking when you just decide unilaterally?
Yeah. Don't pretend we've got a say in it.
That's great.
But the jazz, I really like the jazz. The drumming is just amazing.
They're good drummers, yeah. Musicianship, jazz musicianship's great, yeah.
Are they using brushes like Dave Grohl at Nirvana Unplugged?
No, they're whacking it with sticks.
Yeah, you took the whole family, first family festival, wasn't it?
Yeah, oh, fucking hell, it's expensive.
Did you crowd surf?
No, never.
How much was it? How much are we talking?
Well, I mean, we just made the mistake of letting the kids use the card, to buy stuff. Well, you have to there. There's no cash allowed.
Cashless?
Yeah.
Cashless society, isn't it?
Don't like that. Do not like it.
No, I do. I think we need it. There'd be no crime. Or there'd only be white-collar crime if it was a cashless society.
Yeah. How much would pint then?
I won't go into it.
£7.
He was going to be going to a rant on cash.
I was going to go into one of my feminist rants about how cashless societies are. No, it's just a problem for a lot of women, especially if you're in a controlling relationship. Cash can be your only freedom. If your abusive spouse is controlling your credit card and monitoring all of your electronic payments,
or vice versa. It's
a problem.
There are controlling women.
There are indeed. The majority of the abusive.
Yeah. Get what you're saying. Yeah, get what you're saying.
£7 a pint.
£7.15.
I think that's pretty standard festivals, I'd say. They usually sort of go on London prices, don't they? Festivals, that's probably about right.
The thing is, you just told us it was so close you could hear it. So why did you pay at all?
True.
Well,
it's sat in your garden.
You can hear it, but you can only hear the bass. So it's not quite the same experience.
No.
But I read that, I don't know if it's true because I haven't, I don't know, but someone was saying that at the Oasis gig, it was like £7 for half a pint. That is a lot. And then people were chucking them up in the air when they came on.
Oh, what a waste.
Certainly.
I couldn't bear it.
No.
Unless it was piss. I'd like to think it was piss, but it probably wasn't.
I don't like to think that at all. Throwing piss everywhere is horrible. Yeah.
But what was good about that, going back to the Oasis thing, is I think from what I've seen or what I've read or whatever, it's sort of half and half. Half people our age, going to watch them again. But half is like a whole new generation of 20-year-olds.
Thugs.
No, but they're getting to see they're getting to see, it's like us being, if we could have got to, well, I wouldn't have liked to because I don't like them, but to get to see the Beatles, it's a similar thing, right?
It would have been amazing. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't have enjoyed it, but and the Who and bands like that. That's the thing, isn't it? That's what it is.
Classic rock band. Yeah.
So they're getting to see this amazing band that's so spoken about by parents and pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Luke, what have you been up to?
Oh, just the usual. Music, books. I'm busy this week. Not sleeping again.
Oh, poor little man.
It's too hot. I was in the gym by 6 this morning. I just couldn't sleep. Just got up and into the gym. Yeah.
Why don't you, before you go to bed, why don't you roll yourself a big fat doobie? That'll send you off, won't it?
All right. Advice noted.
It would work though, wouldn't it?
I guess. Yeah.
Don't you have aircon?
Or that. Or aircon.
Got a fan. No.
That's no good, is it?
Yeah, it's just the time of year, It's all right. Listen to the new Hairs album. Got a Hairs t-shirt on today. Fucking good. Really good. Chris from Wrong Speed plays in the studio. He plays it on their albums. Yeah, it's good. Picked up
Is he sponsored?
Probably yourself's first album yesterday. It's all right, isn't it?
Oh, nice. I'm going to see them in a couple of weeks.
About a $5. It's all right, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's good.
Going back to the festival, I forgot to say, Dave, he ended up going to like a rave, didn't you? A rave tent. Dave went raving.
Oh, yeah, the rave cave.
Rave cave.
That was mental.
Did you drop a pill? Did you get pilled
I
up?
wish I had.
He was all over it.
Yeah.
He shroomed up.
What happened in the rave cave?
When you go in there.
Was it like the trek?
It was like going to Ibiza in 1996.
Yeah.
Have you been to Ibiza in 96?
No. But it was like that.
Yeah.
But half the people were sort of my age and even older, and half of them were young.
Yeah, that seems to be the
Were they all having it large?
They're having it large, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you shout? Did you do that? All that stuff?
No.
Did you take a
Why
whistle?
No.
Did they shout Berwick Crew? And then you went.
Actually, it was more sort of techno, I'd say. Not so much whooping and whistling.
Like Sven Vath. Was it like the Trek?
No.
Listeners, the Trek is a now defunct nightclub in Seaford.
You don't have to keep explaining what the Trek is.
Yes, you do. If
Everyone
people are
knows
listening
what
for
the
the first time, they might not know.
I met the lady that ran the Trek the other day. I remember being a bit scared of her back in the day.
She was an
Yeah, she was like
intimidating-
Peggy Mitchell, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Wasn't she a counsellor as well at some point?
Don't know, maybe.
She was she was a revered personality in town.
She had a lot of power
Yeah,
over our happiness.
That's true.
she did. The old Trek. I think it went downhill after that. They had that sort of strip show in there, didn't they?
That was pretty fucking seedy, wasn't
Yeah. That was the start of the end, I think.
it? Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't sound like I got excited enough about the 100th episode aspect of
I
it.
had fucking party poppers. What more do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Dave just wants
You
to
should
go.
have told me. I'd have brought some party poppers.
What you tell you? It's up to you, dude. You knew it was the 100th episode.
Should have just bought some poppers.
Take responsibility for your own poppers.
I
Your
didn't
party
know we were going to
pooper.
make a thing about it.
We should have all done some poppers.
I did.
So did I.
Yeah.
Stinks of gold in here. So let's get on to this week's 100th episode with Jonn Penney from Neds Atomic Dustbin.
Woo!
Right, so yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. If you've been tuning in from the start, appreciate you. If you've joined halfway through, appreciate you. If you just joined, still appreciate you, but not as much as the other ones yet. But
No.
Thanks so much, getting us to 100 episodes. If you are watching this, then please do give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, get involved in the comments, share it with your friends so we can keep growing the podcast and get more guests on. And if you're listening, yeah, do the same. Someone leave a review. It's about a year since anyone's left one. Just someone go and do it.
Go on.
Leave us a review. And yeah, share it with your friends. And if we post anything in the Facebook group, then please do just sort of share it on your pages, because it really does help get the podcast out there to people who might want to find it. We've got an app. Dave lovingly created an app for you to put on your telephone, so you can seamlessly go from the podcast to Luke's mixtapes, which he lovingly makes for you every week. See all this stuff. We've done it all for you. And here we are, 100 episodes in, still doing it. Good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good of us, isn't
It's
it?
great. It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
100 of anything is a lot, isn't it? 100 of anything.
100 of...
Yeah.
100 atoms.
No, 100 grain of sand. 100 grains
Oh,
of
right.
sand.
Fuck off.
You were wrong.
100
Luke.
blades of
You
grass.
think it's true.
It's a fucking nerd. All right. Neds Atomic Dustbin. Have you got a Wikipedia description ready? No, you haven't. Here we go.
Well,
Think you would have learned by now after 100 episodes.
they're an English rock band formed in Stourbridge.
They are an English rock band formed in Stourbridge. Yeah, I mean, Grebo, right? Almost the ultimate Grebo band, maybe, right? It's Atomic Dustbin.
I
Yeah, I think so too.
don't know why, but yeah.
Formed in Stourbridge, as Wikipedia says, 1987, and they were the last of the Stourbridge Grebo bands, behind Popular Yourself and the Wonderstuff. And as we say in the interview there, they're kind of seen as like the little brother band to Popular Yourself and the Wonderstuff. And I don't know, do you think they're a bit more shoegazy than the? Like, I think Popular Yourself have got a bit more kind of the dance and stuff to it. And Wonderstuff are a bit more poppy. And I think Neds are a bit more shoegazy and rocky. What do you think?
Not live. They're not shoegaze at all.
Okay.
But the songs,
Really?
they're a bit more towards that way, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Compared to the others bands that I mentioned. Those other
I don't know if they'd like us calling them shoegaze, though.
No, they're not calling them shoegaze, but there's a bit of it in there. So you got classic lineup. Today's guest, Jonn Penney, vocalist. You've got Rat on guitar. You got two bassists, Alex and Matt, and you got Dan on the drums. And as we mentioned in the interview at the start, there was also a female kind of backing vocalist called Tracy as well for the first couple of years. I got most of this information.
That Wiz played for them as well at some point.
He did only briefly. It was during one of their final tours in 1995. Yeah, he stepped in for Rat on the guitar in the 1995 tour. Well spotted. Most of the information I got from this book, The 8-Legged Atomic Dustbin, will eat itself, which is a very good read. It was mostly written just after the time when they all got famous, and this has got a bit of a revised, updated as well. So yeah, taken on tour by Pop Will Eat Itself pretty early on, started getting an audience, then taken on tour by the Wonderstuff and got even bigger, selling bloody loads of t-shirts.
Oh man, we just talk about
before they released anything. Before we do, can I just, according to, don't know where I saw this, maybe on Wikipedia, between 1987 and 1990, the Neds Atomic Dustbin had 86 different t-shirt designs produced.
That's what I was going to say. It's bad, isn't it? I remember the t-shirts before I remember the band. I remember people at school having Neds t-shirts, and I didn't know who they were.
It's just such a good design, wasn't it?
It's really good.
Yeah,
it's brilliant. Yeah.
Yes, it is a brilliant design. Yeah, whoever's come up with that logo is genius. It's brilliant.
86 different designs. That's crazy.
That's mental. That is mad. Yeah. Especially back then on the old printing machines and stuff.
Yeah. So basically, they had quite a big following before they'd even released anything, basically. So they had a couple of singles. The second one, Kill Your Television, went to number 1 on the indie charts and 53 in the normal charts. It's in 1990, which is pretty good, right? For your second single.
I thought it'd gone higher on the actual charts, but
got re-released.
No,
it's a good song.
I think it did get re-released later on. Yeah. They also played on the main stage at Reading in 1990. They were the first band on the Saturday.
It's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, and it also at that 1990 Reading on Friday, the first band on were Mega City 4, and on Sunday the first band on were the Senseless Things. So
that's cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
in good company.
In good company on the main stage of Reading. And yet they signed to Sony, but as we talk about in the interview, they did it through their own label called Furtive, which basically allowed them to have control over exactly what they did. So, which is pretty clever. And it looked like they hadn't sold out when they had, which is even more. Yeah. So first album, Godfather, came out in 1991. Got to number 4 on the charts. Very, very impressive.
That's good, isn't it? Yeah, especially like we always say, it was all physical sales then, so that's it's impressive.
Yeah, main tracks from that: Grey Cell Green, great tune. Trust got to number 21 in the charts, and Happy
that's my
got
favourite.
To number 16. I think it's released before the album came out.
Trust is my
great.
Favourite song.
I think I had the cassette single of Trust.
They didn't play it at Shine On. I meant to mention this when John was on. I wasn't very happy about that. Didn't want to bring the tone of the interview down.
Hey,
I wasn't happy about that emission.
Happy got to number 16 in the charts and got them their first spot on Top of the Pops.
Yeah, it's good. That's a good tune too.
Great. And apparently, according to, again, the internet, as of 2013, they reckon estimated 500,000 copies of Godfather have been sold. That's
quite a lot, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know how the platinum and all that shit works. We've never really worked that out on here, have we? How many have to sell tickets?
500,000 is a good score.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
And did well in the US as well. And they toured with Mega City 4 and the Senseless Things and Jesus Jones and all of that. And he talks about touring with Jesus Jones in America as well in the interview. So I won't go into it too much.
Yeah, so they'd have some success over there, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Second album came out just the following year, 1992. Are You Normal? Big hit from that. Not Sleeping Around. Got to number 13 in the charts.
Are you normal?
Most people are, aren't they?
Dave, are you normal?
Yeah.
Neil?
I was just checking. No, I don't think I am.
What is abnormal about you?
I don't seem to function as easy as some people.
Sure. Yeah.
Not normal. All right, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, I guess.
No, I guess so. Sure. He did. Also got him on Top of the Pops, Not Sleeping Around. I had the single of that as well, cassette single. And he says in the interview that in America it knocked Sledgehammer off the college rock charts, which is pretty cool, right?
Yeah, he did, yeah. It's a good video, Sledgehammer, wasn't it? It had all that, it was done in that clay thing, wasn't it? It's not actually. If you watch it now, it's a bit shit, but at the time it was groundbreaking.
It was on MTV all the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was. Other hits from there, Who Goes First and Suave and Sophisticated, always also in there. And that album, Are You Normal, was produced by Andy Wallace, which I didn't realise.
Yeah.
Of Nirvana, Rage Against the Machine, Guns N' Roses, Jeff Buckley fame, etc. Again, still had a good year in '92 as well. Headlined the NME stage at Glastonbury, played their single In Tags on The Word, and had the classic encounter doing Wild Thing with Oliver Reed on The Word.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Was it then?
Well,
Yeah.
it's Wonderstuff. I don't know, but yeah.
No, it was Ned's. Classic
yeah.
bit of '90s TV for anyone that was there, right?
Yeah, it's a bit sad, isn't it? They knew what he was going to do, didn't they? And
I watched it a couple of days ago. They just egged him on. They made him do it, basically. It was just kind of picking up the microphone and kind of putting it in his face.
They got an alcoholic on there and basically sort of just used him for our amusement. It was good, though.
I don't reckon he was drunk. That's just the way he was.
He was never drunk.
It's classic TV.
Iconic 90s TV moment. So then there's a bit of a break between that and the third album, Brain Blood Volume. Bit of a heavier sound to it. It's kind of reminded me of when Pop Will Eat Itself kind of went industrial with the
Dos Mes Amigos. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Oh man, should we talk about Brain Blood Volume now or after? Trepanation. It's a fucking weird thing, isn't it?
Now, if you want. The blood thing.
Oh, that gave me nightmares.
It was really popular in the 60s, wasn't it? Like, people thought it was a thing to fucking raise awareness, man.
So what, you just drilled a hole into your head?
Yeah, to release the pressure. And apparently it kind of unleashes kind of empathy and sensitivity and just awareness of the universe.
Try it on Dave, couldn't we?
It's only one way to find out. Dave, you'll be a willing volunteer, won't you?
You've got to drill in your shed.
Brain.
You've got to drill in your shed. I'll do it.
Neil do it.
I'll be careful. Just tell me when to stop. Just tell me when to stop and I'll stop.
Also, if you get an infection in there, that's meningitis, isn't it? You're dead.
Yeah.
All right, take the fun out of it, man.
I don't think it's worth it.
Well, a lot of people did back in the 60s, so
they did.
There's got to be easier ways to open their mind. Acid's got.
Oh, I can put on the great track "Trepanation Breakdown" by a Japanese psych band, Hibu Shibire. I'll put that on the.
As if you didn't know before you started talking about it.
So here's the thing:
all these bands written down that you're just trying to slip onto the playlist.
I haven't, because I think I completely fucked up the name, but no one knows because it's a Japanese word. So I think I got away with it. So apparently the album was released in America first. For some reason, the record company thought it would be a good idea, which meant loads of English people bought it on import because they wanted to get it as soon as possible. So when it was finally released in the UK, everyone, had already got it or whatever. So it didn't do very well.
Backfired, didn't it?
Backfired completely. And a few songs on there. All I ask of myself is that I hold together. Again, back on The Word for that. I didn't realise The Word was still going in 95.
That late? Yeah. Uni?
Yeah.
I don't remember it being around then.
Yeah, basically they played a final American tour and broke up in New York at the end of the tour in 1995. And that was the end of Neds for then. John had a new band called Groundswell, but in 2000, again, he talks about in the interview, there was some version of Neds, but without Rat and Matt basically played some gigs, quite a few, I think, over a few years from 2000 They even released an original song, Hibernation, in 2006. But the original lineup fully did a proper reformation in 2008. And basically, they've been playing ever since. They did like Ned Stock in Leaves a few times. They're regulars at Shine On and Gigantic All Day. They just played this year, right? And and Jonn has got a new book of Ned's lyrics and stories and stuff like that. I don't know. I tried to find out and I couldn't find it. And none of the posts had like the name of the book, but I think he said at the beginning it was called Selfish, right?
That's
right. Selfish.
And
I don't think it's out yet, but I'm sure
he said
he'd let us know.
It's a Ned's track, of course. But I the way he said it, like self, as in the self, and ish, like kind of, as if there's a hyphen. Yeah, as if there's a hyphen in between. So I think it's going to be called Selfish, which is a cool name.
You wonder what the Americans would have thought of their name, don't you? Because dustbin doesn't mean anything there, does it?
Yeah, that's such a point.
Yeah, you're right. What was it that annoyed me about? There's some Americans on telly yesterday, and they were talking about buoys in the sea. They call them buoys, don't they?
Buoys. Yeah, they
really,
do.
I can't handle it.
They do in Japan too. They call it in Japan too, a buoy. It's annoying.
It just sounds stupid. Yeah, I can't handle it. Like this, it sounds like they're taking the piss when they're slipping it into the conversation. Anyway, we could go on about how they mispronounce things over there, but we probably should.
All right.
In case we got
to listen to it. It's a long one, isn't it? I think it's our longest ever interview. It's a 100 episode special epic bonanza, isn't it?
All right, so here we go. Episode 100 of the Stupid and Contagious podcast is Jonn Penney from Neds Atomic Dustbin. Enjoy. Jonn, thanks so much for coming on. Where are you joining us from today? Where are you zooming in from?
I'm at home at the moment. I'm sat in my studio.
Yep. Where's home for you these days?
Well, Stourbridge, of course.
Still Stourbridge. Oh, of course. Well, just checking. Of course. Don't know the answer back there.
Yeah, I moved here in '92, just before we released Are You Normal?
Yeah.
But I'm in a different part of the town now. Yeah, it's my favourite place to live, really. So
nice. Yeah.
So even at the height of it all, you weren't drawn to London to move there?
Absolutely not. No. And I think there was an element of Icarus about it. You know, I could kind of see from other folks I've messed and hung around with that. The sights and sounds might be a little bit too much for little old me, and I wanted to keep myself. As was, the guy from the Black Country. So
right.
Conscious decision not to get too excited with it all. You know what I mean?
I think there is something in that, though. It does keep you grounded, doesn't it? It does kind of stop you turning into a twat. I think there is something in it. Yeah.
No, absolutely there is. Absolutely. Because for a start, there are so many more people in London blowing smoke up your ass than there are in your local pub in Stourbridge, where your mates are still saying, well, yeah, come on, calm down a bit, get the drinks in, and tell us about your tour, and then we'll tell you about the footing.
Get you humbled. That's good. Yeah.
I like that. All right. In case we run out of time at the end, can we talk about your book first? Let's get that done. What can you tell us about your book?
Well, the book's going to be called Selfish.
Right.
My reason for that was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Took me a while. Go on.
Did we get it? I hope people get it. Never mind.
Got it. Yeah.
It's just me. Go on.
It's just Logie slow. Fine.
So yeah, I mean, ages ago, I've got two boys, and I used to try and recount the odd tale to them of what happened when I was in the band full time, but I could never remember things on the spot. And they said, well, all this is going to be lost. So I started just writing it down for my boys.
Yeah, but that's nice.
But I hadn't really got a way of putting it together because I didn't keep diaries, and I really don't trust my memory that much. If you want accuracy, don't bother with my book. Wait for that.
Ours are failing too. It's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started writing it for the boys, and then I very quickly realised it needed to be formatted in some way. Chronology is one thing, but if you're not very accurate, you tie yourself in knots. So I decided to do it a song at a time and make it a lyric book. Wow. So people have a bit of an insight into where the lyrics were coming from, what was going on in my head, but also what I can remember from what was going on around me at the time as well. And that kind of gave me the structure. So I was quite pleased I went down that route. And for me, the words, they're the thing I'm most proud of, really, for my time in the Neds. It's the words.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Like you say, like the lyrics, they are like a snapshot of that moment in time, right? And then once you unlock that, you unlock other memories. I mean, how was it to reflect on, 35 years ago, 30 years ago? How was that?
37 we started.
37 years ago, yeah. Not trying to make you feel old. Yeah.
No, I mean, give it a couple of years. We're looking at 40 years. Oh, yeah. Anyway, how was it? It was better than I thought it would be. I hadn't got a massive desire to kind of reflect too much on stuff. But yeah, I found myself chuckling to myself about lots and lots of things, and I found the hairs on my arms standing up occasionally when I was thinking about stuff.
That's nice.
And that can't be a bad thing, can it?
No, of course not.
I've still got the memories. You can't take it away from me. It's all
sure.
Yeah.
Can you think of any particular examples of a memory that had completely been lost and it was just like suddenly unlocked by something when you were doing it?
Let's think. Random one. Okay, so in the craziness that occurred while we were trying to write our third album, we were in a cottage on the side of the Pwllheli Hills, consuming copious amounts of red wine and Guinness Original.
That's a good combo.
And we took to playing five-a-side football, except there was only five of us, so it was all of us. Right. We gave each other Italian player names. So I was Pinocchio. Oh no one broke a toe.
That's brilliant. Five-side football on your own.
Yeah. It was things like that, and there are big moments and the stuff that make the hairs on your arms stand up. Things like Glastonbury,
of course.
Remember John Peel put his arm around me. Go get him, kid, and then pushing me, throwing me my back to get me on stage.
Wow,
it's amazing. What a moment!
In fact, the hairs are going.
Sure, there you go. Yeah,
they're going. They're going.
Brilliant. That's brilliant.
Incredible. Right.
Yeah, it is.
Do you have a favorite lyric that you think is not usually given enough attention? So I think you've got some lyrics that everyone loves. Do you have any that maybe don't get talked about that much, but you're really proud of?
That's a good question. Let me think. Titch, one of the B-sides. Till I can live with my disappointments, you'll sleep with yours. I quite like that one.
Yeah, that is good.
Till I can live with my disappointments. Yeah, that is nice. That is good. That is good.
Quite proud of that one.
Yeah.
I quite like the lyrics to Spring, Could your mind be as shallow as my 5 o'clock shadow? Quite like that one.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good as well.
They're good.
Yeah,
they are good.
What else? Yeah, again in Spring, I never said I'm the be-all and end-all, but you had to end it all as soon as you'd seen more. I never said I was worth less or worth more.
That's good.
Yeah. That's very cool. That's very cool.
You should be in a band,
You should be in a band.
Where does that come from? Where do those ideas come from?
Well, this is the kind of pretty much the whole premise of the book is. I just feel like I'm an accidental pop star. I always felt like it. I didn't have the greatest amount of confidence in my abilities from the start, so there was always the imposter syndrome kind of bubbling away in the background. But yeah, these words just used to come out. We'd be stood in a rehearsal room. The thing with Neds was the songwriting process with Neds was a blessing and a curse all in one. We would write in a room together, all five of us. It would start with the jam, and whatever the music started to do to me, stood in the room with the guys. I would bung a finger in my ear and start kind of warbling to find a note. The note would turn into a word, and then the word would turn into a subject matter, and then the word would just come out on the spot there and then.
Wow.
So pretty much everything that I wrote was in a rehearsal room or in a studio with my bandmates. Very, very little was done outside of the room, and I don't know where it comes from. I'm so lucky that this stuff just spilled out of me. Yeah, that's the.
So were you just kind of rushing to write it down as you were?
I would write some things down, but the good acid test would be whether I could remember it or not.
Sure.
So if I didn't remember it, I'd kind of have a bit of a question as to whether it was any good.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm sure I couldn't do that as well now. And one of the really interesting things is that it's the element of being able to free think, and that's something that sort of seems to dissipate with time and experience. So what I found with the Neds was the early days when I was young and free and desperate to take over the world with very little on my mind. It was easy to just let stuff come, let things just come out. And I was quite a young man. When it came to the second album, I wrote most of it drunk. We got together in rehearsal rooms and not blind drunk, but something to loosen myself up, to stop myself from thinking, are the fans going to like it?
You were overthinking it, basically.
Yeah. So to kind of get around that, I would relax myself more.
Sure.
And try and get rid of there'll be those things, those thoughts of like, will the fans like it? Will it sound too different to them? Is it a single? Will the record label like it?
Oh wow!
Not that those things were like massively important. What was most important to me, especially, and I think probably everyone else, was is it honest? Is it honestly me? Is this coming from the heart, or is it being filtered by some other stuff that shouldn't be getting into my head? And so
yeah.
I have to confess that alcohol played a big part in the second album, because I needed something to just relax myself.
Did any kind of make it through that you felt weren't honest in retrospect?
You mean words that weren't the best?
Yeah. Or songs, even whole songs that you thought maybe were not, if you think about it now, were not completely honest.
And the hardest ones to take are the ones where I've got there's a part of a song. Very good example is 2 and 2 made 5 on Are You Normal? Chorus for that song, hugely proud of that chorus. It's like it's a big old anthem, unless I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
It's a fucking great anthem, It's a real sing-along beat. The verses, I didn't do justice to,
Right.
They're not terrible. But they're not great, and you wish that they were great if the chorus was great,
Sure.
Another example would be Borehole on our last album. Things were quite strange trying to write the last album. We can talk about that if you want to at some point, but
yeah.
We'd named the album Brain Blood Volume. We were struggling to write enough songs to make a full album's worth. And I tried to shoehorn a theme into a song, which I'd never, ever done before. Always it would be music would suggest something to me. This was on its head, and I wrote about Borehole because I kind of wanted to bring a song in that makes people understand why the album was called Brain Blood Volume, and it was called that because when you trepan, when you drill a hole in your skull and relieve the pressure, the volume of blood in your head increases, and you're supposed to get a greater awareness. I enjoy it, by the way. Have you?
I was going to say you haven't given this a go.
No.
But yeah, so Borehole was an example that I kind of squeezed the topic into the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it didn't work. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Well, we'll maybe get onto that later then. So can we go right back to the beginning? So how did the band start, and what did you sound like in the beginning? All of that kind of stuff.
Okay, well, when we started, I was a goth. My favourite band at the time were the Sisters of Mercy.
Brilliant.
But I was getting to understand Echo and the Bunnymen, Tear Up Explodes, that kind of stuff. I'd been well into OMD. I still am. Absolutely love that band. And I was a proper new romantic. I was the first kid with a wedge in my school. Lots of pleated trousers and granddad shirts and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Pre-goth.
Yeah.
I had a band called the White Rabbits. We were gothy. I fell out with my friend and advertised for new band members. In the photo, I looked just like Ian McCulloch, except nowhere near as attractive. I attracted a bunch of other lads from other bands that I'd already played in. So that was in one band called Iron Lung. He played bass in that band. Alex was in a band called Martin's Overcoats, obviously playing bass in that.
Martin's Overcoats. Nice.
Dan was a friend of a friend who was a bass player that we persuaded to play drums. So there we are. We got, if you count them, we've got three bass players now. Okay,
three bass players. Yeah. And need to get those down to at least two.
Well, we got a bit to go yet because go on. To see my other band called the White Rabbits, and when I split those up, he was quite keen to form a band with me. So the Neds really started with Matt and myself, and apparently he told me he bought a bass, but I forgot. So he was going to learn to play bass. So there's 4 bass players.
4. I think that's enough. I think that's reasonable.
That's plenty. That's plenty to be able.
Yeah.
What happened was, so Matt had told me he bought a bass. I'd forgotten. I got drunk, had a conversation with Alex, and said to Alex, "Oh, it'd be nice to work with you. Fancy having a jam?" "Yes, so you'd like to." So I booked the rehearsal room, forgetting I've got 2 bass players already. And then I've got a bass player who's playing drums under duress.
Yeah.
I'm a bass player in Matt who's never picked a bass up before in his life. And 2 crazy metal guitarists, neither of whom shooting the band. So a few weeks later, at my college, Halesowen College, where myself, Rat, and Alex were at, Rat came up and assaulted me with an umbrella, and was basically trying to goad me into allowing him to come along with the guitar that his brother had just given him. So he was a bass player, but he turned up luckily at first Ned rehearsal with the guitar. So in the first place, the band was formed by a bass player in Alex who got his own inimitable style, so not a traditional bass player. A bass player who'd never played bass at all in that.
Yeah.
A bass player who's playing drums under duress. And a bass player who just ditched his bass for guitar. and myself.
I'm seeing a theme emerge here. Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, the 2 bass thing, it did kind of make Ned stand out, though, didn't it? When they first started to emerge, right?
It did, hasn't it? And you know what a happy accident. You know, there's so much luck involved, isn't there? But it was literally that much of an accident. I literally I didn't even invite one. Matt was going to play bass, and I forgot Matt was playing bass, and I invited another bass player to a rehearsal. And the beauty of it was, Alex obviously was already kind of playing chords and high notes and things along the lines of Peter Hook.
Yeah.
And Matt learned to play bass alongside that, so it organically grew naturally. It's not like we suddenly said, you know what, here's a gimmick.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
No,
if anything, you were getting it down. Yeah, getting the numbers down.
Yeah, we could have had 4.
It could be a lot worse. He's bad against the 2. Yeah.
And is it right you had a female singer as well in the very early days? Is that right?
We had a female backing vocalist. I mean, that was
vocalist, right?
Yeah, that was because my previous band had a female backing vocalist as well, and I was playing safe. I mean, at the end of the day, I had quite a lot of issues with my own ability. So I think I was too much of a coward to declare myself front man.
Right.
So I needed a foil,
The safety net.
So I had a female foil. She was a good friend. Just that as we started attracting attention from the right kinds of people, there would be an undertone that it's too busy. There's too much going on. But you know what, I need to do it. And people started saying lose the backing vocalist.
Or get to take up the bass.
Could have gone one or two ways. Yeah.
Very good, yes.
Also, how important was I've been reading about like Dudley JBs and stuff for that venue and that whole area. How important was that when you were starting out as a punter as well? I guess as well as playing.
Well, it was massive. It was an enormous influence. It was a mecca, if you like. What would happen is you'd probably play your first couple of gigs in a pub. So and for us it was the Mitre in Stourbridge. And that was a bit of a mecca, but it was only a tiny little room upstairs there. But that's where Popple Leads itself and some of the Wonderstuff were hanging out and drinking when we came through as well. So that helps. It's kind of like monkey see, monkey do,
Yeah.
You've got a rock star and it stood next to you at the bar. That kind of makes you realise that they're not a god. They're a man's men, and maybe if you can make it.
That's it. Yeah.
But after you played a few pubs, if you wanted to progress, the next thing was that you'd got to play at JB's. Now JB's was open. I think it was just 6 nights a week. I think Sunday was the only night it didn't open.
Wow! Right.
And it was almost like a leagues that you had to work your way up through. So if you look at to start with, you play like a Tuesday night, just after doors, and if you proved to yourselves not to be crap, and you hadn't scared all the early punters off, then you'd be pushed up to a Wednesday, a Thursday, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, right.
Progress that way. But the key to the place was that the audience were incredibly discerning, and this is weird because the people of the Black Country, generally speaking, sweeping generalisation, not very easily impressed, and if you don't enthuse massively,
sure,
in a gig. So many bands I spoke to afterwards said, "Oh, we played JB's. They hated us." Well, they didn't hate it. They didn't. They just didn't go crazy for them. But what they would just talk about how great they were, and spread the word. And the word would get out. They wouldn't go crazy necessarily. Guys, a great band.
Yeah.
So that's why JB's was crucial, really, and it was on the circuit. So that's why so massive bands went through there early days. It was kind of crazy little underdog venue, punching way above its weight, But it had a huge influence.
Yeah. Is it still there? Do you know? Is it still there?
It's not, unfortunately. It moved premises. I think it was around about 91, 92.
Oh, that early, okay.
And then it wasn't quite the same at the new place that it was at. Had bigger gigs, we played there, but it wasn't the same vibe really.
Sure.
But great venue, and Sam, the guy who ran the place, he was so dedicated to what he did. He did listen to every single demo that got, and he got a lot of demos, and especially at the time of, I guess, around our height, or the point when we kind of started crossing over. because there was so much attention drawn to the Black Country.
Yeah.
And the key venue in the Black Country was JB's.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned them already, but I think Neds were kind of painted as like the little brother band to Populate Yourself and the Wonderstuff. I mean, did you mind that?
No, absolutely not. No, and the thing is, I think we got away with murder to a large degree because of our little innocent faces.
Sure.
Yeah, please come here, have a gig.
Sure.
Please come and lend your bass amp.
Right.
I mean, and there were people we didn't know well. You know, they were friends of ours. Classic example being the one night we were in the Mitre. We've come from a rehearsal just down the road from the Mitre, and Alex's bass amp has finally given up on us, and we got a gig a week or so away. We don't know what we're going to do for gear because we're skint. We can't just go and buy amps and stuff. We're nobodies. We're in the Mitre, and Alex has a few too many. Sees Clint at the bar from Populate Itself, and just walks up and says, "Don't suppose you got a bass amp, have you, mate?" And Clint said, "Oh yeah, we have. What do you?"
Wow.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, please. So we borrow it, and Clint's going to be in the Mitre next Friday night anyway, because that's where we did, So we're playing upstairs. He probably thinks, best go and make sure that nothing
see if they haven't broken it now already. Yeah, right.
So upstairs he goes, and he enjoys the gig, and then obviously tells people he knows that he enjoys the gig. We give him a demo tape. He likes the demo. He tells the Wonderstuff about it as well. And that's the way it works. But at the bottom of it all was just that kind of general kindness of people like Clint. Adam didn't know anything about us. Adam thought for himself. I only found out recently it was Adam who went in his Ford Fiesta and got the amp and took it to the venue for us.
Wow.
It
didn't have to do it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We had Adam on. He's lovely.
We did. He was lovely, wasn't he? He was lovely.
Yeah.
So I think you toured with Populate Yourself and also the Wonderstuff pretty early on, right? Supporting. Can you remember much about those tours that you can tell us about?
Yeah. I mean, the first proper gig dates we had were with Populate Yourself. I think we did 3 polys with them. I think it was Leicester, Coventry, struggling. Leicester on and
some of the others.
Somewhere, there's virtually no one in the room. But it was, I'll tell you what those gigs did. They kind of taught you very quickly about the standard. Because, if you just go around playing pubs, even JB's to a degree, you don't get to kind of see where that standard's got to get to if you didn't focus on it.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely crucial. I think that's what those gigs did for us. We were all crammed in the back of a transit van on the way back from Coventry. And anecdotes on the way back from Coventry, I fell asleep with my legs in the air against the back doors of the van, and when I woke up, my entire lower body had pins and needles, and I can't describe the pain.
Yeah.
So that was how it was. I mean, we were just all squished into the back of a van with gear on our heads, and it was one massive great adventure.
Yeah.
So the first ones were with the Poppies. They very much took us under their wing. They're lovely guys. And then that kind of led on to the Wonderstuff hearing about us. Martin, the Wonderstuff drummer, his younger brother used to sell merchandise for the Wonderstuff, and he was a massive music fan. And he saw us play with the Poppies, and he decided he wanted to manage us. So his name was Tank, still is Tank, or some people call him Tanky.
Tank. Is he a big guy?
He was quite big, not massive. But, I think
not to warrant that kind of nickname, but yeah.
I think it's more to do with his motivation. He's kind of like there's no stopping him. You know what I mean?
Okay.
All right.
Going to run you over.
Sure.
I think it was more to do with that.
Mm.
But there you can see merch seller. You can see where the idea of getting a logo sorted quickly on shirts quickly. You can see where that came from.
Wow. Right. Yeah.
Which paid for the petrol on our early tours.
Mm. Mm. Right.
And I mean the Wonderstuff Hop tour was our first Hopper tour, and that was our kind of that was just earning our spurs on that tour. Again, we were first on. What we learned on that tour was immense for us, you know.
Of course.
Luckily, we'd written Grey Cell Green by that point. It's weird that at the time I had no idea really that these were going to be like talisman songs for us.
Sure.
It's so obvious. So obvious that these particular songs were winning people over because they were more songs than stuff we played.
Yeah,
but they were winning the crowds over, and we got a momentum going, and you know the rest is history.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Is it true that
first gig? Yeah, first gig was at Glasgow Barrowlands. We'd bought a van. Well, actually, Tank's then girlfriend's father had bought a van, so we didn't pay for it.
All right.
Yeah.
It was a knackered old VW. It got us to the brow of a hill in Glasgow, above where you drive down towards the Barrowlands, and then it died on us and shed its load of radweld into the gutter. So as we walked down the street trying to lug all our gear, we were followed by we were preceded by this gush of horrible radweld.
What's radweld? I don't know what that is.
Radweld, it's stuff you put into a dodgy radiator to explode.
Oh, okay, I don't drive you. Okay, right. Yeah. Okay. Oh God.
So we were heralded our arrival at Glasgow. We got there.
Here we are.
In sound check, we'd never done proper sound check before. In sound check, Dan's friend Stuart, who came with us, had handmade an effects board.
Yeah.
So we were all ready to go to sound check. He plugged this board in, and we heard this noise, and then and basically the PA was dead. Ooh. So we turned up, plugged in.
You'd blown the PA out.
That was the first thing we did.
Rock and roll. And is it true that on this tour that you shared a bed with Miles and he challenged you to a farting competition? Is this true?
It is true.
Done his research.
Yeah. I'm not.
And who won?
I'm not sure how happy Miles is going to be about me recounting this. But
come on, you got to out him in his.
It was the one gig we didn't make because of van problems. We had van problems for the whole of the Hop tour. It was a nightmare. But this one particular night, it was Hull. Yeah, it was probably Philadelphia or Hull Town. I'm not sure. Anyway, whatever. We didn't get there on time. So we turned up just as the Wonderstuff were going on stage. So we were way too late. Anyway, because we hadn't played, the consequence of not playing was you got nowhere to sleep. Because basically what was at the end of every time we played, at the end of the set, I would say, we've been Neds Atomic Dustbin. Has anyone got a floor we can kip on?
Yeah. Okay.
And because we hadn't played, no one knew who we were. There was no way we were going to get a floor.
Right.
So the Wonderstuff and crew kind of let us keep in their rooms, their hotel rooms.
Right.
And I ended up sharing a bed with Miles Hunt. And I think, in fairness to Miles, I think he was just trying to break the ice a bit. Because
you break something
with this guy who's like a rock star.
Sure.
So I'm only just starting to get used to the fact that he's a human being as well.
Sure.
I mean, it's a good way to break the ice. It is.
It's what I usually
break the ice with breaking wind. That's the way to do it. Unfortunately, my state of nervousness meant that I got nothing. I got
right. So he won basically.
He won.
Yeah.
He won.
He won. Yeah.
But incidentally, I did. Miles and I had another challenge on a year or so later. We got drunk. Well, it wasn't farting. No. It's more refined, far more.
Yeah.
And this is It displays how things move so quickly, because the next time we got drunk in Newport, I think he jumped on our tour bus for a few days to clear his head, which he didn't. We were both talking about words that we thought were great words, and the word splendid. Splendid was that we come to the conclusion in our drunken stupors that splendid was the word that needed to be used, but neither of us had managed to cram it into a song yet. So we had this change. Whoever got it into a song, recorded and released first, would get a tenner. I think it was a tenner.
A tenner, right.
I don't remember. But I won anyway. I won.
Okay.
Come into legend in his own boots. They go, the name of my own songs now. It's bad. A legend. Who's our boots? I'll go in there. I bless the day. I bless the splendid day.
There we go. Get King just from the bet. Yeah.
You got the tenner, right?
He forgot we'd made the bet.
Right.
Yeah, which is sad. I forgot what the prize was, so I'm guessing at a tenner. It might have been.
Miles, if you watch him, you owe John a tenner, mate.
You owe me a tenner?
Yeah. We spoke to Simon Williams recently as well. How important was him and Steve Lamacq and The Enemy and kind of getting you into the press and everything like that?
Well, I mean, they were, I guess, pivotal, weren't they? It was from where we were. It was difficult to see this kind of stuff because we were just heads down, gigging. And all the noise that was going on around us, thankfully, we weren't really all that aware of. I think what was important was that early on, we got a press officer on board. Tank's doing, I guess, through friends of friends again, Wonderstuff and Poppies, people we knew. Anyway, so they kind of we got a press company along. They were kind of like mates who came to the gigs, but they obviously started talking about us to people, and people they talked to that they knew well were the likes of Simon Williams and Steve Lamacq, and they were kind of early days in their careers, I suppose, at their paper. So I think we were one of Steve Lamacq's first interviews for NME, done in the dressing room at Brixton Academy. I remember that really well. But yeah, I think that they did a lot for us. They were passionate about us. They trod the pavements, came to the shows. Can't thank them enough, for their contribution. It was I guess it was huge for us. It's weird, isn't it? Because you got two things occurring when a band are coming through like we were. You've got the band out there winning people's hearts on stage, but you've also got the noise around that band and the right people saying the right things and to the right people too, I guess one feeds the other, and that's where that kind of snowball comes around and ends up on the doorstep of Sony Music.
Well, there we go. Well, let's talk about that. So you did loads of touring. You sold shitloads of T-shirts before you'd even released anything. Was that like the strategy? Was that a calculated strategy?
Actually it was. This was something that Tank, the manager, had noticed with Susie and the Banshees, was that they just waited and waited and waited before they released anything. They just wanted to be, if they were like us, they were probably just hugely paranoid that they're going to wind up with a loft full of unsold records,
Right.
So we wanted to kind of follow that example a bit and just get, hopefully, in our dream world, get to the point where we just absolutely got to release something because the demand would be so great for it, and then maybe paranoia about the loft is going to dissipate when that happens. So yeah, we left it as long as we could. And I think it was good.
And it worked, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, of course, so we did that with Chapter 22. Again, connections with them being management of Pop Lead itself and the label they put their first record out with. So they were people we were familiar with. So we did it with Chapter 22. But then this is why Sony came knocking, because at the end of the day, they're business people, aren't they? And they looked at us and thought, they've got an audience. They already have an audience. We don't need to do any work.
Yeah.
We don't need to market this band. We don't need to advise this band. We don't need to touch this band in the slightest. We just distribute their records better. And
you had kind of a unique deal, right, with Sony. You kind of signed to Sony without selling out completely, basically. Can you tell us how that worked?
Well, so we tried, yeah. So we signed as a label. So we signed as 30 Records.
Not as a band, as a label.
As a label, yeah. I mean,
interesting.
If we
you were the only band on the label, of course, but yeah.
If we got the contract out, I'm guessing it would say Neds Atomic Dustbin on it. I don't actually exactly how it was worded, but the deal was that we were signing if we could have that little indent of our own, that personality that says, yeah, it's Sony Music, but actually it's our label, it's 30 Records, and I think kids of today wouldn't have a clue why that would happen, because they won't know anything about the stigma. You guys remember?
Yeah. Well, I think the Wonderstuff got a lot of backlash from the real fans, didn't they? When they signed,
yeah, absolutely. And we were super paranoid about that. Obviously, we didn't want to suddenly be called sellouts, but there was an element of that occurred even with our greatest efforts, because not long after it was announced that we'd signed to Sony, I remember getting on a training to Birmingham to meet my girlfriend. And that night, the Wedding Present were playing at the Hummingbird in Birmingham. So the train was full of Wedding Present fans. And I hadn't thought this through. I didn't know it was occurring, So I'm sat there on the train heading into Birmingham, the coach full of Wedding Present fans. And 2 or 3 of them kind of sat down in front of me and started off with, "Hey, John, that's a nice new coat. You pay for that, mate." I was like, "Sony Music, what is it?" And I mean, I've got no answer. I'm actually very bad at arguing. If you read the book, you'll see.
Okay.
You'll see very well. I'm terrible at arguing. I don't like arguing with people anyway. And besides which, I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, you're right, I've seen that. Oh dear.
Yeah.
And it was quite aggressive.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. We worked out okay in the end, obviously, but yeah, it was an important thing of the time, I think, wasn't it, to not realise.
Yeah,
which is weird because
keep it indie
at the time. But I mean, Sony and Epic were the same people essentially, 2 labels under the same roof. And Epic had the Senseless Things, but no indie worry about that.
They got away with it somehow, didn't they?
They were just on Epic,
Yeah.
No, weird. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so can we talk about the first album? So how did you start building that kind of set of songs to put together for the first album?
Well, you probably would have heard this a million times from bands that first album is written over years, isn't it? And it's road tested. It's a surefire bet, it is, because the crowds are loving it when you're playing those songs to them, and you pick the songs because they're the crowd pleasers. Like if you're a band like us, because obviously it was so much about the live thing for us. It was written, well, I guess between 88 and right up to recording time, So the oldest song on Godfather probably would have been Cut Up. And the youngest song on there would have been Less Than Useful, which we wrote in the studio,
Right. So that's like 3 years. That's 3 full years of getting that together, right? That's, yeah.
Yeah. And plenty of songs fell off before we got there. A fair few of those wound up as B-sides, early days, but yeah, they were the live hits of the time,
Right.
I mean, the big step for us was going from live to recording because people were saying so much about our live performances being so raw and so raucous. There was a lot of talk about capturing that.
Yeah, that's difficult, right? That's difficult,
and that's hard. We're aware of bands who tried to do it. We're aware of bands who succeeded to a degree. That's not easy to reproduce. And
no.
The studio sound for the Neds kind of came about itself, really, sort of organically, but obviously influenced by Jessica Corcoran, who she'd been tape op and done some engineering on the Wonderstuff album, assisting Pat Collier, the legendary Pat Collier, who sadly we lost last year. But I guess there were certain sounds and certain styles that kind of spilled into what we were doing. But it was a weird thing. I mean, good example of how it was difficult to kind of move forwards with that was you put a click track down to record a song, make sure you're staying in time or whatever. Several of our songs on Godfather, we'd been playing verses and choruses at different tempos.
Right, yeah.
Nothing Like is the perfect example on Godfather. Is that the tempo of the verse into the chorus? There's a huge difference. That's like a difference of like 5-6 BPM.
Yeah, that's a lot, right?
And poor old Jessica is like spending hours and hours putting together a click track. But it isn't really a click track because it's supposed to be the same all the way through. And
yeah. We had to switch it up.
So we had little hurdles like that to get over, and we had the hurdle of me not unusually absolutely hating the sound of my voice in the studio. It's absolute torture. I know.
Why?
Listen to yourself sing.
It's a great voice. Why do you say that?
You should hear it. You should hear it with no music, or you should hear it with the music turned right down and no effects. And
sure, it's not true. Okay.
There's lots of singers that feel that way. I know.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
In case I don't want people to know, but yeah. So I
think most singers are their own critics, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a hurdle as well, But yeah, it kind of, I guess Jessica and ourselves, we sort of co-produced that Godfather, the first album together, and we kind of came to some decent conclusions about how it would sound. I think some of the delay effects and things on the vocals here and there now sound a little dated. But then there'll be a lot of 90s records that sound dated, won't there?
Sure.
Just different techniques, right? Yeah. So how's the making of the second album, Are You Normal? How was that different?
Well, I mean, it was enormously different. It was completely different. It's worth saying that we instigated getting the second album running, the writing and everything. Everyone industry-wise would very happily have kept us on the road for at least another year.
Oh, right. Yeah, it was just the year after, wasn't it? That's right. It's just a year between the albums. Yeah.
Because people couldn't get enough of Godfather. They couldn't get enough, But we'd been touring those songs for quite a long time.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it wasn't that we were sick of those songs. It wasn't really anything to do with that. I mean, yeah, you do get a bit bored of stuff, but you can't really easily get bored of people loving what you do on stage.
No.
Sure.
But what did happen was, certainly for myself, and I think a bunch of the other boys, we started worrying too much about what the next thing was going to be. What is the next thing going to be? We'd grown quite a lot as people in the time that it had been since we'd written these songs.
Yeah.
We were now jet-setting rock stars,
international rock stars.
And where's the song material going to come from? Because we mean, we obviously went full tilt on tour. We're not one of these bands who would have a little studio in the back lounge as we're touring the States. That wasn't our thing at all, you know. So we thought, well, you know, we really have got to grasp the thistle. We've got to stop the train and get onto this second album so we know where we're going. Just kind of scared, I guess, of not knowing what was going to happen, where we were going to go with stuff, you know. So yeah, it could have been years later, but it was what it was. But the difference in the songwriting experience, I mean, as I've mentioned before about alcohol, it was that obviously. Don't get me wrong, we weren't thinking, right, okay, we now want to be a million selling band and therefore we need to do X, Y, and Z to cross over, win new audiences and all that. There's none of that kind of thought process going on. But there was the question of, can we live up to it, to where we're at? And can we bring the fans with us? You know, because there wasn't another Godfather in us. There wasn't. We weren't those people anymore. Yeah. We were older, you know, and that's why it's called Are You Normal? Because the Godfather appeal and all of the appeal before Godfather, I guess, was Boys Next Door. We're one of you. We're all the same. Our audience are very much the same people, you know. And much as I always wanted to stay grounded, and hopefully I have, it'd be stupid to pretend that we were now those boys next door, because we weren't. Jumping on airplanes all the time. Yeah. And so are you normal now? No, we weren't normally.
No.
And so,
do you think you did live up to it? Were you happy with it? The second album?
What I would tell you what I'm most happy with is, and it should be, is the songs. I think the songwriting was probably our they were our finest moments, I think. Because everybody was on their game. I think my lyrics were the best that I wrote, partly because I'd resorted to medicating myself gently with alcohol to relax. I thought Rat was on it. Some of Alex's bass riffs are just outstanding. Matt had nearly nailed the bottom line, and you know, Dan just went from strength to strength, really. I think the songwriting on the album was great, and I think it did kind of tell you. I mean, Matt was great with his listening for stuff in movies, for references that kind of said what we wanted to say, you know. Your Apocalypse Now quotes. What are they going to say about you? They're going to say you're kind man, wise man.
That's
bullshit, man.
Is that right?
Such a great line.
You know, and selfish. Why don't you wake up and smell what you're shoveling? It's just kind of wrong album.
Just cool stuff, right?
That's terrible, isn't it?
Getting your albums mixed up.
I don't
want. It's all a blur. Yeah, I don't know why I wrote a book.
It's
Well,
it's a good job
you mentioned jumping on an aeroplane to being an international rock star. So I'm based in Japan. How was it coming over here back in the day?
That was probably the biggest shock that we'd had of all, really. I mean,
in a good way or a bad way?
In a good way, yeah, in a good way. Because I mean, I suppose you go on a Greek holiday, right? I mean, and you land in Greece. And, you get on the coast to take you to your place, and you look at the road signs, and none of them make any sense. That's like an experience that lots of people will have, where for the first time you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going. So take that and then multiply that by 10 when you land in Japan. Because you really don't know anything other than there's lots and lots of cars. They're much smaller, or they were then. And there's a culture that you just know nothing about. And you know, for us, it was amazing. There were people at the airport. It was like Beatlemania, but on a tiny scale. So I think someone told me at the time that there's 10,000 record sales in the indie market in Japan, and you've sold 10,000.
Wow.
So So in that like microcosm of indiness in Japan, we were enormous.
Sure.
But it wasn't a massive microcosm. But anyway, So there would be people at the airport, there would be people at the hotels, there would be kids playing alongside the buses. It was like we never experienced that anywhere.
Yeah. Do you feel like a proper rock star?
Yeah, it was crazy. You know, there was a point where we got stuck in traffic and we were never going to get to the hotel, so we got out and ran, and we were chased. You know, it was just
that's exactly like Hard Day's Night or something like that.
It was mad. And then it was other things like just silly little things that you have to learn about the culture, which are just amazing and so interesting. Like someone from the record label would introduce themselves and hand you their business card.
Yeah.
And the first time you would like pop it in your top pocket.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! No!
No. And thankfully, one of the record label guys, a guy called Ken who'd lived in the States a lot. He was like, took me to one side. He's like, Jonathan, no. And they handed that business card. You make sure that you show them that you value it.
Yeah.
You put it somewhere safe.
You got to take it with two hands for a start. You got to take it with both hands. Yeah.
So, you know, there's that kind of thing. There's like days off in Japan. We're not like days off anywhere else in the world, because days off in Japan would be a day in the Sony building in Tokyo, and it would be from 9 a.m. and it would be interview, photo session, change clothes, interview, photo session, change clothes.
Wow.
All day long.
So not that.
Yeah. Which was, I mean, it was great. It was great. But it was tiring, but it is, wow, what an experience, you know. And then at the end of that day, they'd take us to a bar, and some people would still be working in the Sony building, so they would join us later. And a couple of times they would join us. We'd be half cut by then, and they would enter the building stone cold sober, but some of them would behave as if they've had a couple of drinks. And I took Ken to one side. I said to Ken,
to make you feel at ease.
What's going on here? Yeah, he's like, well, they're just trying to make you feel at ease.
Polite. Yeah, sure.
They don't want to be the sober guys turning up looking at the silly drunkards.
Yeah. Makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
To do, you know, just astonishing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good. That's great to hear. You did pretty well in the US as well. What can you tell us about touring over there?
Well, another huge chunk of luck. We went over the first time and we were playing very small venues and went down well. Grey Cell Green did the business for us on MTV. Did that super cheap video and MTV lapped it up for 120 minutes. So that was good. That got some people kind of creeping into some of the smaller gigs. But then the next thing was that Jesus Jones went and hit number one.
Right, yes.
States with Right Here, Right Now. Well, we toured with them a fair deal in the UK, and we got on well with them. And they were doing their Right Here, Right Now tour. It was like 8 weeks. And then they had us over as main support.
Oh, wow.
Perfect timing.
A massive. Yeah, so we went down well with the crowds. We sold lots of T-shirts. There were incidents where Kentucky, where parents were dragging their kids back to the merch stand, kicking and screaming because we'd taken the Lord's name in vain by putting Godfather on the T-shirt.
Oh, God. What? What's it? How is that? It's not even, doesn't mean anything. How's it taking it in vain? Fucking hell.
I don't know. But,
yeah.
So, and they were big venues they were playing, obviously, because they were number one in the States.
Yeah.
So that set us up nicely, especially for live audiences. And then the next thing we did after that was, I guess, Not Sleeping Around came out, and Not Sleeping Around was a modern rock number one. So you knocked Peter Gabriel Sledgehammer off the number one spot.
Oh, wow. On the modern rock charts. That's great.
Well, if you're into college radio like that, I mean, that's what it was essentially.
Yeah.
If you're hitting number one in college radio, then you're doing great guns.
Yeah, definitely.
Godfather sold well over there. Are You Normal didn't necessarily do that well. And we had that weird US phenomenon that quite a few bands have been through. Morrissey, apparently, at the time, where you're playing huge venues, but people aren't buying the album.
Right.
But it does. It's a common thing, you know.
Interesting. Yeah. Was there much of a grunge Grebo crossover? Were like grunge kids coming to your shows?
You know, grunge crept up on me. I hadn't got a clue it was happening because we were just so busy doing what we were doing. You know, I wasn't observing outside of our little world that we were living in.
Yeah, they're busy doing your Fraggle, weren't you, or whatever it is called?
Fraggle. Oh my god,
Fraggle's not a good one, is it? Yeah,
I don't like Fraggle because it.
No,
I mean, okay, you know, those who live in glass houses cast the first stone. I did name my band Neds Atomic Dustbin, so you know,
fair.
It's kind of in the same league as Dumpy's Rusty Nuts, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
You can't expect people to take you massively seriously.
Do you think if you would have called something different, you would have had more mainstream? You did pretty well, but would you have had more mainstream acceptance if you hadn't been called Neds Atomic Dustbin? Do you think?
I actually do think we would have done. Yeah. I think you see a silly name. But then again, you know,
would you change it if you could go back in time? Would you change it?
No, because nothing like this would have happened, you know. But
yeah.
I mean, I look back and Echo and the Bunnymen.
Right, yeah, it's ridiculous.
A ridiculous name.
Yeah, I mean, the Beatles is like the worst pun ever, right? It's whatever, right? You know,
awful. But I think at the time, giving it context, I think at the time we would have got more respect had we not had such a silly
respect. Right, that's a good word. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. I think we were viewed by people who weren't into us probably as a comedy band because it was a funny name. Yeah,
because it was a funny name, right?
So it might be enough to put some people off giving us a shot, but then again, it was daft enough to attract a lot of people.
There we go. Yeah. You've alluded to the kind of craziness around the third album a little bit. What was happening? What was going on?
It's difficult to put your finger on the turning points, but I think the turning point probably was just that business of the second album not selling. Relative to the size of the crowds we were playing,
which is inevitable, right? But anyway, yeah.
Well, it either is or it isn't. You know, I mean, Sony Music's plan for us was to cross us over and make us a huge band. That was always going to be their plan, and that, there was no erring from that path. So they would throw everything at it to make us an enormous band, you know. But if you don't do that, and if you don't cross over, then questions start getting asked, and there's a whole bunch of different people asking the questions. The people in the band certainly are. It's kind of like we've done our best work. People are listening to it on the radio, coming to see us play and loving it, but they don't like the record. So there's the very first seed of doubt about our own ability, I guess, to know what path we should be taking, where we should be going. Again, thinking when we shouldn't really be thinking.
Yeah.
So there's that going on, but also there's the whole industry machine around it as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
Maybe they're not going to cross over. So if they're not going to cross over, what do we need to do to try and make sure they do cross over? And so lots of opinions start coming in. And of course, you know, we were a young band when we started out. We were young when we signed to Sony. We weren't young anymore. We were kind of growing into being the people that we now are. And people change, you know, people we got less common ground. Our musical tastes had broadened massively from what they were when we first got together. And I guess it just became a great deal more difficult to have ideas that satisfied everybody in the band. It was was damned hard. We were repeating ourselves, which none of us wanted to do. That was never going to be our plan. I think Alex especially was saying, it wasn't so much that that he didn't want to play the bass the way he'd been playing it, and he didn't want to do stuff the same way. It's just that he'd pick his bass up and feel like he was going over old ground with it, And that's a difficult place to write songs from. That's hard to do. For me, there was a lot of unspoken conflict. We're all pussycats, We never had a blazing row with each other. We weren't that way. We were nice, but we would think about stuff, and we just found it very difficult to compromise with each other. I guess something natural that happens, I guess as you get older,
I think so.
Less friends, don't you? Because there's those that you realise you're not really got a lot in common anymore, one of the really funny things that we loved was we'd spend like 7 weeks on the road together, and we'd have like a couple of weeks off to rest or whatever. And when we got back together again, we'd all share the incidents where we'd avoided each other.
Right, they crossed over the road. You'd seen one of them at the bus stop or whatever, and you think,
saw you on your way into. So I ducked into the alley. I was boiling milk. Actually, I saw you too, but
that can't be good.
In each other's pockets.
Yeah.
And so it got more difficult. We employed a lot of different tactics. We bought a load of new toys. So we got a sampler, we got a 12-string guitar.
Well, they can hear them on the album,
Yeah, Alex played 6-string here and there. We got keyboards. And new toys always inspire something. And I think that worked. It certainly worked. But it was a very, very difficult album to write. Very difficult. And there was a lot of emotion going on there. To the point where mid writing, I guess this is how we wound up in a rehearsal room on the side of the Pathetic Hills, all drunk because the pressure was telling on all of us. It was telling all of us, and we weren't. Here's the thing, right? From 1987, we'd been ascending, and all we knew was, wow, look what we've done now. Wow, look what we've done now.
This is easy. Yeah.
It doesn't equip you for failure. It doesn't equip you for doubt, And we weren't equipped for that situation. So we buried our heads in booze and in whatever other ways of distracting ourselves. And it took a bit to get us out of that little booze-soaked car. So there was some crazy stuff went on. When we were writing in the Pathetic Hills, where we at one point it was the case that some of us thought that we were being serious about an idea, when other people thought we were just having a joke. And vice versa, and some of us wouldn't even know. Are we kidding? You're not kidding, So, but we at one point we said, okay, well, we're writing a concept album. This situation is so crazy. We're going to come out with our Ogden's not gone.
That's it.
And we wrote some really, really crazy stuff. I do talk about it a lot in the book. Don't want to give too much.
Okay. All right.
Keep
it for the book.
Save some of it.
The title of the album was going to be The Sugared Dodo.
Right.
Yeah. That's a great marketing move, isn't it? The Sugared Dodo.
Sure.
That's good.
Sure. What was the thinking behind that? Yeah. We'll save it for the book. We'll read it.
Maybe we'll park it.
Let's park that. I think it's probably best. Yeah. So you did the final tour, and that was in the US, I think. I mean, how was it knowing that you were going to break up at the end of it? Was it like a blaze of glory? Was it a big party, or was it like just everyone waiting for it to be over? or something in between? How was that?
I think it went between all of those. Yeah, I mean, there was anger.
Yeah,
there's a lot of anger. It's the perfect catharsis to go on stage and try and destroy yourself.
Sure.
So that was perfect for me to kind of get the rage out. But it was sad as well. But also, yeah, I mean, there were points when you just thought, look how glorious you are. We are, you know, and this you kind of realise that there's going to be a legacy. You know, this is going to be sounding so cheesy. And I didn't put this in the book about it, doesn't matter. But on the airplane coming home, I was listening to radio station, and on comes "Ordinary World" by Duran Duran.
Yeah, great one.
And I was in floods of tears at that song because it just hit me right there.
Yeah.
Well, I just knew that when the wheels hit the tarmac back in England, I was going to be a nobody. Yeah, because it,
unemployed. Yeah.
It was all over. So yeah, I mean that took its toll.
It's an ordinary world. Somehow I have to find. Oh fuck, man, you're right. That's like spot on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
A real gut punch.
Yeah. And back to your new romantic days as well. That's great.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great thing. It's a great song, you know.
It really is.
When I see one, it's a great song.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
The band broke up. Can we just as Britpop was beginning to blow up? Do you think? I mean, would Neds have survived in the Britpop scene anyway if you'd have stayed together? Do you think?
I don't think so. You know, I think that to a large degree, one of the things that was responsible for our shelf life was this kind of boys next door feeling about us. This business that us and our audience were one and the same.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's a nice thing. It's honest, and it leaves a legacy. But I think people had started to miss having their rock stars.
Right.
I think they wanted their rock stars back.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right.
They wanted people with attitude.
Yeah.
They wanted people who were extravagant. You know, they wanted their new Bowies.
Right.
Suede.
Yeah.
They wanted the posing. They wanted the whole that thing of, you know, where these are not people. These are kind of like, they are like gods. You know?
I know.
Liam Gallagher. Yeah.
Worship again, I guess.
Yeah.
They wanted something to worship again, I think. And I can understand.
I think you're right.
But there's no way we were equipped to provide that. I'm not a rock god. Well, on stage I challenge you sometimes. But in a 4-page interview for the NME, I'm not going to tell you how great I am for 4 whole pages.
Right.
That's not going to work. I'm not going to occupy that page space. You know, for me, it's like, oops, I burped out a bunch of words that I'm really proud of, and I love playing live. What more do you want me to say?
Sure.
You know.
Sure. Yeah. So, yeah. No, you wouldn't have been swaggering into celebrity parties and drinking champagne with. No.
And that stuff's so dull. You know, we did a bit of that, and it was just so boring. You're kind of looking around the room thinking, everybody's wondering how important they are.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't want to be important. You know, what's that matter? What's that going to do for me when I wake up tomorrow morning with a headache? It's like, oh yeah, people think I'm important.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we did loads of that kind of stuff. We didn't, because we did it, and then we just.
It was one. Yeah. Sure.
Did bother, you know.
Yeah. So how did it feel when the band did come back together in 2008? I guess it must have felt a long time at the time. It doesn't seem like it in retrospect, but how did that feel when the band got back together?
Well, I mean, we had a little bit of a false start because in 2000, we myself, Alex, and Dan we formed without Rat and Matt, and we did a decent number of gigs that way, and it was amazing because you know that horrible last experience of the band splitting up, that left its mark, and the way it left its mark on me was that I formulated an attitude about the Neds that we'd just been lucky, and that there was no real quality to what we'd done. That I was just a chancer, really. I'd got lucky and managed to bluff through, and eventually we got found out. You know, and that is honestly how I felt. And
wow,
I fell short of being ashamed of being the singer of Neds Atomic Dustbin, but I wasn't a million miles away from that emotion, because I felt like we were so unfashionable when it all finished, and I guess conversely, what replaced us was so enormous in guitar music terms.
Yeah.
You know, so we never crossed over in our own country into range, whereas Britpop and grunge just took it all over.
Sure,
you know.
Sure.
So my attitude, towards it all was that I was a nobody. I'd been a chancer. I got lucky. We got lucky, and we wouldn't be remembered favourably. We just had our 5 years.
That's how wrong you were.
Think like
how wrong you were.
And that's what you get, you know. I remember I was sat in a pub, lots of pubs, drowning my sorrows. But one day, and the guy says to me, "Oh, you know, John, I don't know why you look so sad. You know, look what you've done. Look at all your experiences that you've got in your head. You know, no one can take that away from you." And you know, at the time, I said, "Oh yeah, that's true." But what? Just out of interest, what job do you do then? And he said, "Well, I'm a teacher." I said, "Okay, well, tomorrow morning you're going to wake up and the school have sacked you, and the education authority has said you can't teach anymore."
No.
What do you do?
Yeah. What's your next step?
Yeah.
I'd say
that's
all I
hard to hear. Yeah.
Of a band who don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And what else does anybody want me to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
but that's
so
it's
insane
to think like that. Like Neds fans are like the most loyal fans out there.
Yeah.
They're literally our most requested interview for the last 2 years, basically.
We didn't ask you to come on for the 100th episode for no reason.
I feel really honoured by that. And you know, it's not the Neds fans' fault. It's not their fault that I felt one love. It really,
sure.
You know,
Yeah.
It was all in my head. All in my head. You know,
yeah, you don't feel like that anymore, right? You don't feel like that anymore.
Of course not. You know, I mean, these days,
that's the main thing. Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Blessed is what I am. You know.
Yeah. Now it comes across.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you at. I've seen you a few times, but I saw you at Shine On this year, and what a crowd! What a gig! It's great, wasn't it?
It's just amazing, you know. It is amazing.
Yeah.
And I've struggled for a better word, but I think blessed is the word. It really is. Yeah. We look at someone recently showed me footage of Reading Festival in recent times. So with like headline band rocking away, shots of the crowd, and some of them are having a little bit of a
it's not the same, is it?
Like, you know,
not the same.
Don't they show me footage of us?
Yeah.
Going through the TV in 93 or whatever, and the crowd are going absolutely ballistic.
But even at Shine On, you know, we're all a bit older now, but it was still jumping the whole gig, right? It was great. It's great.
Which is just amazing, and you know, isn't that funny that the thing that is your thing, us and our fans being as one. Has made us, killed us, and made us again.
Yeah,
it's just
it's great. It's beautiful, man. That's great. Yeah,
it is beautiful. Yeah.
All right, we're conscious we've kept you a really long time, and we apologise. Neil, do you want to ask the final question?
Yeah, so we do ask this to all our guests. So if you could have been in any other band in the 90s, who would it have been and why?
In the 90s, let me think.
Yeah.
What band would I have been in? That's a difficult question. Possibly, I don't know. It would have to be a band who people would just accept whatever they do. So it would have to be
right.
Someone like the Pixies, maybe.
Ooh,
I feel like a band who would just be able to just follow their nose and do what they want. Radiohead. Yeah, I'd love to be in Radiohead.
Okay.
They did what the hell they liked.
They did. They pulled the audience along with them. Yeah.
Followed their noses and just went with what they wanted to do. And that for me would have been the important thing. Yeah, so yeah, I'd have been in one of those progressive bands. And without getting weird, I'd have been in Blur.
It's all right. It's not weird.
But not the other lot.
Yeah. Me too.
Right.
I'm a big Blur fan. Yeah.
You know, they were progressive. They followed their noses. They did what they wanted to do, and that's what I would have wanted to do.
Yeah.
I
think you did, to be honest. But yeah. All right. Where can people buy your book? How can they get hold of that?
Well, I mean, for now, you've got.
Hopefully, it'll be out by the time this comes out. Yeah.
You got the scoop here, so.
Yeah.
Nice and early. I'll be announcing stuff through all my social media.
Okay. That's great.
It'll be easy peasy to find online.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And are there any other Neds gigs in the pipeline?
We're at the moment waiting to see what next year brings.
Okay.
I'll be doing a couple of appearances about my book. I'm going to be
brilliant.
Louder Than Words in Manchester.
Nice.
In November, and the same weekend I'll be at Shine On with Steve Lamacq.
Right. Brilliant. Are you doing that'd be great.
So the Shine On weekend, I'll be in Manchester on the Friday, and I'm at Minehead on the Saturday, and I've got a long journey.
That's brilliant.
That's great.
I'll see you in the pages.
Yeah, well, I might see you at Shine On. Maybe.
Right. Look forward to it.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to stop the recording now. Don't escape just yet. I'm going to stop the recording. But thank you so much for being so generous with your time. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's been great.
Right, there we go. Jonn Penney. Dave, enjoy it?
Yeah, it's a good one, that. One of the best. So I'm glad you saved it for episode 100.
I agree.
Purpose.
It was one of the best.
Yeah.
What a nice guy. Yeah. Humble, just lovely fellow, right?
Yeah. He seemed quite honoured to be on our 100th episode, which was...
Don't go that far.
He just doesn't realise what it is, does he?
Honoured to be... Where'd you get that from?
No, he did say that. To that effect. But that just proved to me I'd never heard it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all right. He enjoyed it anyway, I think.
Still a good looking.
That's the thing.
Too, eh?
Yeah, but that's the thing. And I notice about the podcast that people really do enjoy the interview, don't they? They enjoy going back over those times and talking about it.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, no one gets paid, do they?
No, they do it out of the goodness of their heart. Yeah, which is amazing, really.
I think they like it. I mean, they must do quite a few podcasts and stuff. It must get a bit annoying sometimes. I think like I've said before, we do try and make an effort to sort of do some research. Well, Luke does. So.
But imagine, right, if there was a podcast and they got Neil on to talk about Main Street. Imagine how much he'd love that.
Oh, God, he would, wouldn't he? He would be shitting himself with excitement.
Imagine that.
Oh, God. It would be unbearable.
We should do that in an episode.
That 22 Gram Pod, there's a podcast called 22 Gram Pod. They do all the bands from like the Naughties.
Is that named after the Rakes track? The Rakes song?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Huh.
So I'd probably fit into that. Main Street would fit into that sort of time. So, hit me up. I speak to him now and again. Be happy to come on. Might be able to get Vince on, you know.
Gunning fellows and Dave. Encourage him.
But going back to what Dave said, he actually said that he hasn't a massive desire to reflect on old stuff. I have.
You do, yeah. And then he reflected on old stuff really well.
But I don't know why I've got an obsession with it so much. But we probably wouldn't have this podcast without that. So.
No, it's true.
Oh yeah, I liked your favourite lyric question, Luke.
Oh, thanks.
I've done that one before.
Got a good response, didn't it?
Yeah, you came up with some really good ones.
Yeah, you like that question too.
Till I can live with my disappointments, you can sleep with yours. Poetry, innit? It's interesting, right? You know, I think like the Grebo. Well, no, because like the Grebo bands kind of got written off as kind of, you know, these kind of dirty, scuzzy, noisy oiks. But you got like Carter, who had really, really clever, intelligent, well thought out lyrics. You've got, you know, Neds, who had, again, really kind of well structured, really well thought out lyrics.
I think all of them.
You know,
all of them lyrically. Mega City 4, Senseless Things. I think they're all really good.
Wonderstuff too. Yeah, I don't think got enough.
That's better than Brit.
The fans understood it, but the people that weren't into it, I think, didn't pick up on it. You know.
I think, unfortunately, a lot of people are like me. I just don't hear lyrics. I just hear the music, and then I occasionally find out what the lyrics are later.
See, I'm the opposite.
But yeah,
the opposite of me.
Really enjoy the lyrics straight off, which is good.
What I did find, I do find it in general that people are singing along to all the bands, but Neds specifically, people there know all the words to every song, and they're like singing along. I think it's an important part of Neds are the lyrics. I think. You know. Yeah,
which is why he's built the book around it, right? Which is a great idea.
Also, the way that he writes his songs is quite different. Like in the rehearsal room, he's not like Noel Gallagher, who sits at home in his room, sort of writing nonsense. He does it on the hoof in the rehearsal room, which is quite.
And it seems to be a group effort as well. They all kind of write together.
Yeah.
Just get in a room and.
So they write the song, and then he comes up with the lyrics on the spot. Which that's quite a unique way of doing it, I think. I think there's another band that said that they did that. I can't remember who it was. Someone else we had on said they did a similar thing. Most songwriters just sit somewhere quiet and do it on their own, don't they? And then bring it to the band. Especially with those because they're sort of quite lyric laden, aren't they? Ned songs. It's a lot of lyrics squeezed into a Ned song. So I don't know how you can come up with all of those.
I mean, not as many as a Carter song. That's a lot of lyrics, isn't it?
Do you reckon they've got the most?
Most lyrics.
Eminem must have the most.
Rappers and stuff, right? But you know,
most lyrics per minute.
Oh, Eminem has that record, doesn't he? There is a record. He has it, I think.
Oh right.
He is a genius, Eminem. Yeah, he's got to do about like 4 times as much work as everyone else. Eminem, hasn't he? Shows in a different genre.
Slow down a bit, shouldn't he?
His story about how they started off with like 4 bass players. By accident, ended up with.
So how many did they have with the first album? 2.
2.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the 2 bass player aspect. I don't know why more bands don't do. All right, okay. I don't know why more bands don't do it. It seems like a no-brainer. It sounds brilliant. Like, why don't other bands do it? Why is it just them?
I think it's a good point. I don't want to go on about
sense.
That Love Supreme, but there was this bassist there, right? And he was playing the bass sometimes just like it was an ordinary guitar.
Yes,
there's so much more you can do with the bass.
Yeah.
Can you do like a lead bass and a rhythm bass like you can with guitar?
I reckon you could.
Well, this is the thing. The way that Neds do it is, I think it's Alex. He plays all the high notes. Yeah, he's playing notes like a guitar solo, I guess, if you're going to compare it to guitar. And then there's Matt's playing like the more sort of traditional bass lines. So I think you need both to make it work. Like Peter Hook in Joy Division, he was more like Alex. He just played the high stuff. But when I saw Pete Hook and the light at Shine On, his son, I think it is. He plays all the sort of the root bass notes now. And yeah, together it just works brilliant. I don't know why more bands don't do it. It makes perfect sense to me. I don't know. It gives it such a full sound. I think it sounds great.
Yeah.
It's really bouncy, isn't it? Their songs. That's the only way I can describe them. They're really bouncy. Gives the crowd a bit of a dance along with it. I don't know. But yeah, I've always thought it sounded great, and I don't know why more bands don't do it. Maybe they do. Maybe I just don't know who these bands are.
I don't think they do. A lot of bands have two guitarists, but not two bassists. Yeah.
I mean, if they're just doing the same thing, it's pointless. But if the basses are doing different things, which in Neds they clearly are, it gives it a really good sound.
I didn't like the sound of red wine and Guinness.
There's a corner here as well. It's horrible. How heavy?
It's not in the same glass, is it? It's not in the same glass, is it?
No, but even
the same
so,
drinking session.
Imagine the hangover from that.
For me, it's red wine and then brandy.
Okay.
Beer, then whiskey. But I wouldn't mix beer and wine.
Oh, really? I often do. I did yesterday.
You're odd.
Funny what he was saying about being an accidental pop star and syndrome and stuff. And you kind of get he's quite not the most confident guy.
No, it was really sad what he was saying, wasn't it? About how after the Neds initially broke up, he just thought, that was just like we just got big by accident.
Yeah, that was so touching, isn't it?
It was
again, like Ordinary World, I'd never realised what that song was about until listening to the interview. And then I looked up the lyrics and thought, fucking hell, that's really sad.
I won't cry for yesterday. I won't stop. I won't, think about my past life. It's an ordinary world. So I have to find.
Yeah, it was sad that he thought that. And I'm glad it's now he sort of understands that he's held in, the band's held in such high esteem.
It must have been like that for you, Neil, when Main Street packed.
Oh, Dave, don't make it. Come on. It's bad enough for him doing it.
I've got a Main Street bit in here to do it, actually.
Oh, God.
Because we had a similar...
Dave, are you an accidental computer programmer?
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, I might say, I got imposter syndrome doing this, but I don't. I am an imposter. But with...
well, that's imposter syndrome.
It's not a syndrome.
In the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you are an imposter here. Yeah, I thought you meant in your job. Yeah, no, here you completely are, yeah.
Yeah, but in my actual job, definitely have felt that.
Yeah.
I feel that all the time.
Most people do, right?
Yeah, I think most people who aren't completely up themselves must feel that all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe and they're just disguised.
Only a complete sociopath doesn't have imposter syndrome, right?
Do you think Trump has it?
He's got the opposite.
Do you think he wakes up thinking, maybe I shouldn't be in this position, I'm not good enough?
No, I don't think
cross his mind. I wonder what he does think. I'd hate to be his brain.
Imagine being Trump's brain.
He needs that drill thing.
He does. He needs a trepanation breakdown. He does.
We should force it on him.
He needs it more than anything. Like an intervention. Yeah, we should. Hold down. Drill his head. Yeah, so, because I was going to say that Main Street, actually, we have had like a similar journey. Because he was talking about how they played the gig in Coventry and there weren't many people there. We did the same. We played the gig in Coventry and we just played in front of another band and then went home. So, in that respect.
Very similar to Neds Atomic Dustbin's hugely successful international career, touring the US, and number 4 album, playing Top of the Pops 3 times. Yeah. Very similar.
But the Coventry bit is the same.
The Coventry bit is the same. Yeah.
He did paint like that Stourbridge scene. We heard it when Miles was on as well. And that a really sort of close-knit scene, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Down to earth.
Yeah, helping each other out. Yeah.
There was like that sort of pub hierarchy, like which days you played and which pubs you played in and stuff. They're just a thriving music scene.
For that little spell, I don't know what's happened from there. So I guess there must be stuff.
Doubtful it's still the same. But yeah, I think that camaraderie is still present in the bands now. When I went to Shine On, Adam from PWEI South, I think he was just doing some it was sort of teching for the band. They weren't playing, but he was just helping out Neds with their bass teching and stuff. So I think he's still doing it.
It's great,
and they're all still mates. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, very cool.
I didn't catch why he didn't win the farting competition.
He couldn't perform.
He was so nervous, couldn't perform because Wonderstuff were pop stars and they were the new band almost. Yeah.
I really fancy myself in that competition, actually.
Oh, really?
With who?
Who would win out of us three? Out of us three, who would win a farting competition?
Me.
I can't.
Neil
can't risk it.
I can't. I've got to be careful these days.
I can't risk it. Right. In case he follows through.
Yeah.
I reckon back in the day I would have trumped you, but nowadays...
Yeah, you used to
maybe
fart.
you're right. Yeah, I was vegetarian as well.
You also were very audible. I remember yours being very
Sure.
audible.
We've told the story before about how I made the dog bark, haven't we? We told that story on the podcast.
I've heard a lot of Dave's recently. I think with age, he's becoming more audible.
I do wonder if I need to see the doctor, but
Yeah, that's far. That's fine.
Bordering on flatulence.
What's the dividing line?
I don't know.
Excessive farting.
50 a day?
Is that right?
Anything above 50 a day is probably flatulence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How many do you reckon you do a day?
About 50, I reckon.
Yeah.
So you reckon you'd out-trump Miles Hunt in a competition?
Yeah, I do.
All right. He's laid down the gauntlet.
Miles,
if you're listening.
It's on. Dave versus Hunt.
Do it as Shine On. Get them both on stage and a fart off.
Yeah.
If I have a Jackie Potato first, that's the thing that sets me off the most.
Jackie Potato, that's a funny one.
Big one. Yeah.
Yeah. With beans on.
Yeah, but the beans would help.
All right, give it a bit more oomph.
Miles, mate, you have not got a chance.
You know his comment about when he was writing the second album, Are You Normal? That he had to have, not get drunk, but he had a bit of wine to loosen himself up to write it and stuff. I since I stopped drinking, I mean, I wasn't a prolific songwriter or anything, but since I've stopped drinking, no, hear me out.
We have to. We don't have a choice.
It's difficult to be creative if you're not doing some sort of substance, I think. Yeah, like I bet Pete Doherty struggles these days with writing songs like he used to because he's in a totally different space. I think it does make a big difference.
What if you've never tried, like Ian Mackay from Fugazi, Minor Threat? So he's never.
That's a bit different, isn't it? That's a bit different, I guess.
If you're straight edge throughout your whole life.
But I guess it's a sad thing to say.
No, I don't agree either.
There's some truth in it. Well, I think there's some truth in it. I reckon most of the best songs in history have been written on either drink or drugs.
What's your evidence to support this
God.
hypothesis? You have to. It's bullshit.
I said I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, Paul McCartney's Yesterday came to him in a dream, didn't it? Famous.
That's bullshit, that isn't it?
But I think your dream state is what creativity comes from. It's random,
Maybe.
right? So somehow, if you can just tap into that state, you can generate.
The drill.
People do, don't they? They control their dreams. Yeah.
Yeah.
So John talked about falling asleep with his legs in the air, and then being all kind of pins and needly after. Do you know the story of Mark Linkous from Sparklehorse?
No, tell us.
No.
So that similar thing. He just got drunk, drinking drugs or whatever. It's like being a rock star, and he fell asleep like on his own legs, just like you do. You just kind of collapse on the floor, just falling asleep, and he basically cut off the circulation of blood to his legs. And I think, I can't remember the details, but I think like the paramedics kind of like woke him up and that triggered something and he had a heart attack. And then because he had cut off the circulation in his legs, he was in a wheelchair for like years and years just from fucking falling asleep in a funny position.
Be careful, ain't you?
Yeah, and he ended up committing suicide, I think. It was a few years later, but still, yeah, fucking hell.
Well, you can do all sorts of things when you're drunk. You don't thinking about. You sleep in all sorts of positions, don't you?
Yeah,
we all have.
Or like, what's his name? Jim Morrison choking on his own puke, right? That's from being drunk, and just you're in that position where your body can't put itself to as it normally would to right itself, right?
Yeah, it doesn't. That's it, and it doesn't right itself.
Yeah, there were lots of good little stories, weren't there? What about the Japanese people pretending to be drunk just to fit in with them, and make them more comfortable? That's horrible.
I love that. I love it.
I won't
It's really just sycophantic, though, isn't it? I don't like
just being
it.
polite.
Would you be able to do it? I couldn't pretend to be drunk.
Try now.
I was just trying to think what I would do. I've got no idea where to start.
The guy in 1975 was pretending to be drunk.
Yeah, he was.
At Glassite.
Yeah, I think so.
Was he?
I quite like that.
Openly.
Oh yeah, we haven't spoken about that.
Was he pretending that he wasn't pretending?
No, I think he was pretending and was fine about people knowing it.
Yeah, I forgot. Dave wasn't here for the Glastonbury discussion. He liked the 1975 performance, which will infuriate you.
No, I thought that performance was really good. Enjoyed it.
Actually, to their own. People actually pretend to be drunk.
I've never heard of it before, but I can imagine it happening. And I think it's a nice thing, right? You just should be in politeness, making people feel at ease. You don't want to feel like a complete dick, do you?
I wonder at what point of the evening they think, I can't keep this up any longer. I'm just gonna.
Well, then they probably caught up pretty quickly, though, didn't they?
Oh right. So you sort of wheel out of the pretense and
started drinking. They would have caught up pretty easily. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, we touched on it earlier, but yeah, the whole signing to Sony as a record label. I mean, it really was that big a deal back then, right? For those bands back in the day, like your fans would turn on you. Just sniff.
I just don't get that at all. Do you, Luke?
It's the whole being indie, wasn't it?
Well, as the resident indie snob, I do get it. Yeah, I do.
He doesn't listen to anyone that's sold more than 5 records.
He's not denying it.
I do get it. I understand.
You wouldn't switch off. If you liked a band and they suddenly signed to a major, do you think it would really sort of stop you going to see them and stuff? I don't think so.
No. But nowadays, there's not much of a distinction between independent and major. It sort of got fragmented in the 90s.
But imagine thinking, we need to sort of disguise the fact we're doing this. Right, there's a lot of thought into it.
But for me, I don't
only disguising it, but yeah.
But if the band signs to Sony, say, but doesn't sell out, surely if they're only selling out if they stop doing things the same way, if they let it affect them.
Yeah.
I think it's just the perception of it, isn't it? But it's so different to Britpop a few years later, though, isn't it? Bands just saying, we want to be as big as we possibly can by whatever means.
Oasis started that, didn't they?
And it was a real big thing. I remember back in the day when they came out saying that, like, we want to be the biggest band in the world. And it was a real sort of, what?
Well,
can't say that.
Like he said in the interview, he said, people wanted proper rock stars again. That's not what they were.
It's got an interesting point, isn't it?
It was an interesting point, yeah. I agree with
maybe there's some truth in it, especially this side of the pond, because I think America was starting to get their rock stars again with the grunge scene and that. We didn't really have anything over here.
They were reluctant rock stars, though, right?
Yeah, but still rock stars.
Yeah,
I
think partly reluctant. I mean, Kurt was just 2 people, right? One of them,
he probably enjoyed it.
Was
really
unstoppable.
Yeah.
It was inevitable he'd be massive, and the other part of him couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
And was more like John.
But the whole Britpop thing was just the whole kind of the hedonism and the optimism that was coming up in the 90s, right? It was all part of wanting the big rock stuff.
Yeah, I think that it didn't happen in a vacuum, did it? There was a lot of stuff going on. The whole lad culture and all that stuff was going on, and Loaded magazine and all that shit.
Yeah.
Spice Girls, all that stuff.
Bigger and louder and all of that, right? Yeah.
But the more we do this podcast, the more I hate the 90s. Looking back. It's really making me hate the 90s.
I love the 90s. The more I go the other way, I miss it even more.
I feel exactly the same as I did about the 90s.
Right, so none of us have really changed.
But I do
always
appreciate the music a lot more through doing this podcast. There's so much that I missed out on. Like I knew like the hits of Neds. I'd like 2 or 3, I think, singles, like Neds singles and stuff. But I didn't have any of the albums or anything like that. So I'd never got too deep into them. And so just rediscovering this kind of thing, it's made me appreciate like how much amazing music there really was.
And it's really cool when Facebook group when people put stuff up and that. Yeah, I agree. But it's just made it worse for me because now I miss it even more, and I just feel even older.
But it's still there. The music's still there. See, I'm not. Yeah. I don't miss the 90s at all. But I'm annoyed that I didn't know the music at the time. And it's all for me. It's about the music basically.
You know, he's talking about recording in his vocals and stuff, and how he hated the sound of his own voice. Now, I've been in a few music studios in my time.
God, Jesus, man. Come on, 5 is enough for one episode.
If anyone's listening to this for the first time and think that Neil's talking about like a real proper band that he was in,
put them on the playlist.
I'm not putting Main Street.
Episode 100.
If you're a new listener, Neil was in a band called Main Street with his friends. They did actually release an album and stuff, and they were actually quite good. But
put some on the
2 albums. But the way he's talking about them, you'd think they were like a proper thing.
Anyway, so when we used to record, it is weird when you're sitting in, because you're sitting in the little control booth after you've recorded and mixing all the songs and stuff. And when they do isolate the like vocal track, it is weird because you hear because it's you singing into a microphone, aren't you? You hear all the sort of, if you're clearing your throat and all those little noises you make. It's not very, I can imagine, I didn't do any singing, but I can imagine if you're a singer, it's quite cringe sitting there listening to it with the rest of the band. So I get that. No one likes the sound of their own voice, do they? Dave said he doesn't like listening to the podcast because he doesn't like the sound of his voice.
Oh, God, it's horrible.
And that's the reason why most people don't listen to the podcast, because of the sound of Dave's voice. So, yeah. So I get that. Imagine Neds without Jonn Penney singing. Well, no, it couldn't happen.
Yeah.
There's a little mention of their name. I like band names, and you were discussing it, weren't you? I really like the name of the band.
So do I. I like it. And I kind of disagree. I think part of their success was the name, I think, and the T-shirt.
Right. Something we talked about last week with Gay Bikers on Acid, right? That it just helps some people remember it, doesn't it?
What was that?
They just shortened it to NAD, didn't they?
Nads.
Incredibly deep. Yeah.
Wasn't that a name for balls back in the day? Nads.
Still is.
That's why I said that, Neil.
Oh, right, okay.
Shortened version of Gonads.
What was that Saturday morning kids TV show with Gaz Top that had a Millennium Dustbin or something?
Was that the one we talked about? That with that super furry animal?
Green alien.
Saturday.
Yeah, and it had that green alien thing on it called Gerald or something.
We talked about it when we had when we talked about super furry animals. Oh, here we go. Gilbert the alien.
That's right. Yeah, he was this green thing with snot coming out. That was his thing. He had a really snotty nose.
Dave, you'll enjoy this. Saturday morning kids TV show broadcast on the children's ITV block. The show featured Gareth Jones, aka Gaz Top, Charlotte Hindle, and for the first year of its run, Gian Sammarco, the British child actor best known for his portrayal of the character Adrian Mole. Dave, you like a bit of Adrian Mole, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you still claim it's your favourite book?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it says, Sammarco was replaced for the second and third series by a puppet named Gilbert the Alien, voiced...
He got replaced by Gilbert the Alien.
By Phil Cornwell, who is Murdoch in Gorillaz.
Okay. Yeah,
wow.
there we go.
Nice fact.
That's a nice tie-in.
It's all right.
But that actor was just such a perfect Adrian Mole.
He really was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it was good.
My last note was on that Ordinary World song, which you've got to put on the playlist, surely.
It's already done. Already on there.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Main Street, you're putting some of that on, right? Come on.
Make Neil his own little playlist he can have. Some Main Street.
Pretending.
Leave it off for the rest of us.
What would be an appropriate song for a Main Street song for the 100th episode of this podcast?
There's a song called The Fame Game on there. Put that on there.
All right.
It's on the second album. Well, that's it for episode 100 of the Stupid and Contagious podcast.
Is it my final party popper?
Do it.
Do it right at the camera.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. I got the smoke as well. Stinks, those things, don't they?
Like it.
Yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, and thanks for listening for 100 episodes and sticking with us.
No one has, though, have they? Do you think anyone's listened to all 100?
I reckon. Well, get involved in the comments. If you've listened to all 100, be honest. If you listen to all of them, let us know in the comments section.
Claim a blueprint, a badge.
Yeah.
They could get,
get
some
nothing
free
for
merch.
We
haven't
haven't
got
got
any.
any merch.
Neil's
I'm
mug
going to get
behind
some
him.
sorted, though.
If you break that mug into however many people have done it, and just send each one a piece of it.
We'll drill some of Dave's brain out and send it to the winners.
That's fair. Yeah.
Only the bit I don't use.
But yeah, get involved in the comments. Subscribe to our channel. Follow all our other socials. Yeah, just generally get involved and send a link to your friends so that they can find us. Because then we can just keep bringing you more interviews with cool people from the 90s. Forgot to say this at the start. You can sponsor this podcast. Send an email to stupidandcontagiousPodcast@gmail.com. If you're a band or a merch seller or anything like that, anything basically, send us an email and you can sponsor an episode of the podcast. If you're a band local to do your little review and all that sort of stuff. If you want to shout out someone, if it's someone's birthday.
If you're new to the podcast, welcome aboard. So Neds are the final point in the Stourbridge Triumvirate. So we've had Probably Eat Yourself on, we've had the Wonderstuff on, and now we've had Neds on as well. So if you're into that scene, go back into the archives and have a listen. Also, other bands we mentioned, Mega City 4, Senseless Things, are all in the archives as well. So dig in and enjoy. And as we've mentioned several times already, I make a mixtape for every episode. So there'll be loads of Neds on there, of course, bit of Duran Duran, and maybe, just maybe, the mighty Main Street.
We have got something a bit different for episode 101. Keep an eye on the Facebook group. I'm going to announce it in there. But it's going to be there's going to be some form of audience participation, we think. So keep an eye out and we'll keep you posted. That's it for episode 100 of the Stupid and Contagious podcast. Thanks so much, John, for coming on. Dave.
See you in a minute.